This is Glenn Warren, founder and executive director of Fathers Forever. I want to share an alarming reality with you. 627,000 fathers are incarcerated that have kids under 18. Now, there are 56,000 moms incarcerated who have kids under 18. The reality is there are so many more fathers incarcerated than moms. This is why I Am a Father Forever book exists. Now, I need your help. I am inviting you to help us get this book into as many fathers incarcerated as possible. Here's how it works. For your donation of $22, we will provide a book to an incarcerated father. Thank you in advance for helping Fathers Forever heal fathers and save families. We are live, James.
All right, that's cool. Good. I'm checking out one of our websites real quick.
Okay.
So why don't you?
We're back. We want to welcome everyone for our Thursday broadcast. This is a podcast or a broadcast? What do you want to call it?
We can call it a broadcast.
Yeah,
we'll formally have it as a podcast
Okay.
later, I guess. But
Yeah, I don't know the difference between the podcast and the broadcast.
yeah.
But anyway, we are here on Thursday afternoon at 2:10. We are going to be talking. We got a very hot topic today, and I just want to welcome all of our viewers. Like us, share it, share it on your Facebook page,
Yeah.
as well as subscribe to the YouTube. All the normal things that James used to do. I let him do the commercial, so he's trying
All
to.
right.
But
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll park this for a second. I'll get a chance to
okay.
pull up something else later. But welcome aboard, everyone. We want you to know that this is going to be a hot topic today. We don't really, we're not going to get into mixed of it all, but it's just something. Sometimes these things happen, and it's a part of life, and it's something that a lot of people are wanting to comment on, and they have been. I wanted to look at the stats so far to see how many people actually viewed the that particular post, as well as how many commented.
Wow.
So I want all of our viewers to comment, because we're going to give you an opportunity to
Chime in.
with your thoughts on
Yes.
this, and we'd like to hear from you. But as you know, the last 2 weeks we've been talking about anger management, and the first week we talked about what is anger. And Glenn, I know we had a definition for it, but also we had three components of anger
Yes.
that we know occur, and one that was the physical.
Yes.
Your body will actually
Manifest.
it'll morph into something else.
Yes.
When that happens. And then there's the cognitive.
Yeah, you're thinking the way you're thinking.
Mhm.
Yes.
And then
the
behavior.
behavior. Yes.
Right.
So
Right.
So we got the actually your body react to it, the physical part of your body,
Yes.
then the cognitive, the way you think,
Hmm.
and then your behavior.
Right.
So those three
Right.
components makes up anger, which is
Mhm.
again is a God given emotion that God gave to us, and it could be a devastating thing,
Right.
or it could be thing to use positively to make a change or difference
Mhm.
in people's lives.
Yeah,
We talked about
because we asked that question: can anything good come out of anger?
Yes,
And we came away with the answer, of course, something.
absolutely,
Good.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
But if it's used in a bad way, it can be very destructive,
Mhm.
and it can hurt a lot of people.
Right.
And so that's what we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks. And we was going to actually bring this segment. We had planned this last week.
Yes.
We're going to talk about this segment as well, and how anger affects the kids.
Right.
And lo and behold, there was a segment, there was something on Facebook this weekend that everybody been chiming in on, and somebody told me about it, and I read it. We looked at it, and I listened to it 2 or 3 times, and I was like, "Wow, this is what we've been talking. This is what we was going to talk about today.
Absolutely, we were.
How anger affects the kids, the children. Yeah.
Right.
If you haven't had a chance to watch that that segment on Facebook, just go watch it and just listen to what everybody's saying.
Well, in the meantime, I'll tell them what's the story behind that particular post, but I want us to know that we're not going to leave our children out of all of our videos. We want to make sure we're ending it with thumbs up for our children. We want to make sure that they are being cared for.
Yes.
That their parents continue to love them.
Yes.
And support them, because we really don't know the fallout post-COVID. And I'm saying post-COVID because that true time when everything was locked down. So maybe I'll say post-lockdown.
Yes.
We don't really know the matter that's come across, the different things that have come across a child's plate being in that lockdown environment. And for adults who received the shot, or maybe some didn't, it actually affected some of them too.
Yes.
And especially people who've had COVID.
Yes.
They're still bouncing back.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we lost some loved ones to COVID, and we still continue to pray for those families.
Yes.
But we know that there's still some fallout, with that side of after effects of COVID, and, you know, from having headaches or fatigue and things of that nature. But in all of this, we don't want to leave out, well, what about children? How were they affected?
Yeah. And we haven't really, I don't know if we even have really, as a society, talked about this post shutdown that kids have had.
Right.
And because we as an adults, I think I was telling Miss Betty, a friend of mine, a few months ago, we was going to try to put something together. We're still working on that.
Right.
That we're going to talk about the effects of COVID on our kids, because the adults now, we have been in this survival mode.
Yes.
And so, how are we going to pay the bills? How are we going to keep ourselves alive? How are we going to not get COVID? So the fear of that, paying the bills, keeping the job, we was working on focused on that for the last 2 years. Now that's kind of, hopefully, there's a distance between getting away from us. And now we really have to start focusing on how it really affects our kids.
Yes.
And I don't think we have really looked into that fully as a community, because we was in survival mode for 2 years. And now that we're coming out of that mode, we can start thinking about what the damage that it's done to the kids and how we can fix that. Right.
We have to be proactive in this case.
Yes. Yes.
But I want to welcome all of our viewers once again. I know Glenn did, but sometimes, we come on a little bit later. Everyone doesn't come on at the same time.
Yes.
So welcome aboard. And as Glenn mentioned, Dr. Glenn Warren mentioned that today is January the 30th.
June the 3rd.
Oh, I'm saying January. Thank you, Glenn. June 30th. I was just seeing if everybody was listening. But it's the end of a month.
It's the end of the month.
And I think this is the actual halfway point of the year.
Yes.
6 months have gone by.
Yes.
And now we're going to get into the last half of the year.
But
it's been a great year thus far.
Yes.
And, with all the uncertainty in the world and things going on, we're still moving forward.
Yes.
And we enjoy that. Yeah.
Some good, exciting things have happened over the last 3 months for Father Forever. And we're very fortunate and believe God that He's going to continue to bless us and empower us to do the things that we're called to do.
Right. So you ready to dig into this?
Yes, let's kind of dig. Afterwards, we'll talk about, I think it's the last day of the month for the books. We'll talk about the book count and where we are with that.
Right.
And
I got it.
But I really want to I want to set the stage for something about anger and about how it affects us.
Mm-hmm.
But I want, before I get into that part of it, I want to borrow one of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Okay.
One of the principles was see, do, get.
All right.
If you haven't read that book, Stephen Covey, um, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People,
Mm-hmm.
get that book. That book has changed my life so many ways. Father Forever kind of came about because of stuff that's in that book.
Right. Right.
And so those principles are I live by them. I try to, follow. This is a brilliant man, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
and how he come up. And you know what? These are not concepts that he came up with. The concepts been there,
Yeah.
and he just tapped into them,
Right.
and made them very practical.
Right.
But one of them he talks about is see, do, get. So in other words, he talked about your perception.
Mm-hmm.
Your perception is what you see.
Right.
Your get is what you do. No, see, do, get. See, your perception, your action, what you do, and the get is your behavior.
Okay.
So see, do, get.
All right.
So if you see in the wrong thing, you're gonna do the wrong thing.
Right.
If you do the wrong thing, you're gonna get the bad results.
You're gonna get.
So how do you change your results?
Mm-hmm.
You change your results by you changing what you see.
Right.
You change your perception about things.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about this to people, to the guys all the time. But how do you see yourself as a father?
Mm-hmm.
What is your perception about yourself,
Right.
as a man, as a father,
Mm-hmm.
as a breadwinner, as a supporter, as a nurturer? Because if you don't see yourself that way, your behavior is not going.
Right.
You're not going to do it. If you don't do it, then you end up, not being a good parent to your kids.
Right. Right.
So when you start look at that whole principle about see, do, get,
Mm-hmm.
what you see, your perception of it. Now, when you bring in anger or any other thing into that, so how do you view life? What lens are you looking through in life?
Right.
Do you see you a victim? If you do, you're gonna do the thing that victims do.
Mm-hmm.
You're always gonna blame everybody else for your shortcoming.
There's no ownership.
There's no ownership.
Yeah.
Because your perception about yourself is I'm a victim.
Right.
And your behavior is gonna show, and your results is you got the victim mentality that somebody always owes me something.
Right. Right.
And that's we know that's not true.
Yeah. Or I'm entitled.
I'm entitled because you see yourself, as a victim. If your perception about yourself is I am a successful person, then your behavior is going to start. You're going to start behaving that way,
Right.
And you're going to get that kind of results. But if you don't see yourself that way, and so when you come out of co-parenting, how do you see yourself as relate to co-parenting with your ex-spouse, ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend? How do you bridge that gap that you're not raising your kids out of the anger that you both have for one another,
Right. Right.
or the animosity that you both have for one another?
So if we take a moment, then I can share what this chatter was on the internet, and I'm sure it's still moving forward.
Yes.
There was a father who had a son with a previous girlfriend, I guess.
Yes.
They broke up, but they had a son.
Yes.
And the mother of the child has 3 other kids that are not the boyfriends.
Yeah.
Ex-boyfriends.
Yes.
Okay. So he decided to bring, and I don't know all the details. I'm just posting what I saw and read.
Yeah.
He decided to bring his child a meal from a local restaurant, fast food.
Yes.
Yeah, McDonald's. Okay. And so the mother met him out front and
put him on blast.
Yes, she put him on blast because she said, "I know he's going to just bring one. Whatever he brings is not going to be enough for the rest of the children."
Right.
So once he got out of the car and everything and walked up to the mother, he only had one meal.
Yes, and one drink.
Enough for one person, his son. And she wanted to know, why didn't you bring something for everybody?
Yes, right.
and his claim was that that's my son. Those kids don't belong to me.
Right.
But I had a problem with some of it, where I think, for my humble opinion, and I'm going to let you elaborate further, Glenn. Um, I think there's anger on both sides,
Yes.
and I believe some of this is going back and forth to get a rise out of the other. It's like pushing those buttons.
Yes.
So for me, I think I would have brought a pizza. I would have brought something for everybody. Kids are the last ones who need to not eat.
Yes.
I mean, they need their
Yes.
energy. They need
Yes.
their food.
Yes.
But what do you think, Glenn?
But that story could have went into that love and love is not enough. The breaking of a child.
Right. Our book.
I wrote that book because sitting in the courtroom, I watched this stuff for 4 years, 5 years. Watch parents put the kids in the middle of the fight.
Right.
This is a typical example on Facebook. I could put that story in this book.
It can be added
because that's what happens. That is exactly what happens.
Real life.
Real life. So when I look at this whole context, their perception. That's why I do get their perception about one another. Obviously, they don't like each other, probably. Yeah. And now they're looking at co-parenting through the lens of anger. And when you look at it, and both of them apparently, and I'm not going to get into it again. Maybe I can. Who's wrong, who's right. It could have been handled differently.
Absolutely.
And which is the point that I think, James, you're not going to be working on with this other segment we're going to be doing.
Right.
How could I handle these situations differently?
Right. Let's do one thing. Let's ask our viewers a question. Who was right? Who was right in this whole scenario? Was it the mother? Was it the father? Or both? Or let me back it up. Who was wrong in this situation?
Right.
The mother,
the
father, or both?
Or both.
So why don't you all put your answers in the comments section, and we'd love to give you a shout out in the meantime, as well as read what your response is. Yes. So go ahead. And you got it.
They're both looking through the lens of anger.
Yeah.
And as a resentment to one another. I don't know the story, but it's obviously there's some issues there. You don't have to be a rocket science to figure that out. Right. There's some major issue there. And so it could have been handled another way.
Right.
Perhaps he could have came and said, you know what? I don't have enough money to buy all these. I mean, I don't know how much money he's got. I don't have enough money to buy all McDonald's, even though it probably would have cost another $200 to buy everybody some McDonald's. But maybe he did it on a regular basis.
Right.
And that would add up. So you can't blame him for that. How else could he have handled it? Yeah. He could have came home, picked his son up, took his son to McDonald's, got him something to eat, and then brought him back home.
That's another solution.
So when we start looking at these kind of things, we're going to point out how could this have been done differently. And instead of him now, fussing at her because, and then she's angry because what she said earlier or later on, she said. You used to do this before. You used to bring food for all of them.
What?
And the other kids are wanting.
Yeah.
You done this before. All of a sudden now you stop doing it because we're not together.
Right. Yeah. Now that part.
But he's right. It's not my responsibility. So they're both are right in some degree. They're all both wrong.
Yeah.
That's clear. I mean, I said I wouldn't get into the wrong or right, but you can't discuss this without saying wrong on both parts and right on both parts.
Right.
So it's not about a wrong or right now. It's how could it have handled better? Or how do you see yourself? How would you handle that?
All right, let's read one comment we had. This is from someone we know. I can't read that, Glenn.
What did she say?
Can you see on the far?
Oh, there it is.
Oh, I can see it now. Both were right and wrong.
Wrong, yes.
They both had valid points.
Yes.
But the way they handled it was wrong. Thank you, Jasmine.
Yes, because probably again, if they're going into this co-parenting with anger and resentment, this is what you're going to get every single time. Because what you see in your perception about one another is I don't like you.
Yeah.
Whatever they got going on, and your behavior is, I'm gonna throw the food away.
Yeah.
You're not gonna, those are the kind of results you're gonna get.
Yeah.
And what are you doing? You have put all four of those kids in the middle
Of your
of
fight.
mom and daddy's fight.
Yes.
And that's what we do on a regular basis as parents when we separate and divorce. And the kids should not have to go through that. But
No.
because we are this anger, and the other thing is, one of the stories I write is about when you about advice from people.
Mm-hmm.
When you start getting people's opinion,
Mm-hmm.
go to somebody who's not going through the same pain you're going through.
Right.
Because if you do, they're going to probably give you the answer out of their own hurt and pain.
And watch you carry it out.
Exactly.
You carry out the mission.
You're going to go follow that. And next thing you know, you created another whole scenario where your kids now are being a victim of mom and dad madness.
Right. So we're going to say it again because we literally want to hear from you about this particular story. But was the father wrong? Was the mother wrong? Or were both wrong?
Both was wrong. Both had good points, good valid points, but both was totally wrong.
Right.
Because father could have done something totally different than that. And mom could do something definitely totally different than that.
So let me ask you this question, Glenn, Dr. Glenn. How could a couple that's co-parenting now, how could they move beyond this current situation? What are some things that they can start initiating right now and purpose to do?
Yes. I've literally coached hundreds of parents, fathers as well as moms, about how to co-parent. In the last 15 years, we've been doing this. And this is the kind of stuff I see on a regular basis. First of all, you had to change your perception about the other person.
Yeah.
She's still the mother to your child.
Right.
Or the father to your child. We don't use the word that my baby dad, my baby mama.
Right.
That to me is very derogatory. So the first thing you do is change your vocabulary.
Yeah.
Call him by his name. Call her by her name.
Yes.
So you got to change. The first thing is to change your perception about the other person.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're going to begin to see again out of the lens of anger. And when you do that, not just anger, but hurt. If she had a good relationship and the guy did something to you or whatever,
right,
there's pain there too.
Yes.
So you can't co-parent through the eyes of anger and hurt.
Okay.
So the first thing you have to do is change your perception about this person and really focus on co-parenting.
Right.
That's and then what is the best for the best child?
So there's all kinds of co-parenting, obviously, but what type of co-parenting would we like for our children or those who are engaged in co-parenting? What would we like for them to? What would that look like in a healthy co-parenting?
It's to be able to sit down and number one, first, come up with a solution, a rule that we're both going to live by as far as co-parenting. One of the James Best is up there.
Hey.
One of the
Mr. Best.
Yeah, one of the couples in my our couple was a friend of mine. When she separated from her ex-husband, she said they made a vow, a promise to one another, and they put that a part of their separation, a divorce decree, that they was not going to say anything negative about the other parent, or each other in front of the kids. She only had one son. And I said, "Did you ever get married?" And she said, "I cussed him out all the time, but I never did it in front of my son."
Not in front of the kids.
Said, we made that a court order that if one of us caught and could prove that the other one, said something negative about the other parent, there could be a lawsuit. I'm not telling people necessarily to do that, put that extreme,
right?
But you can make a commitment to both of you. They said we are not going to say anything derogatory about the other parent in front of the child. Correct. If you're not willing to do that, then this is the kind of stuff you're going to get
all the time.
All the time.
So they can't expect any different response from the other person until they agree to.
Yeah, and even if the other person have all kind of negative things to say about, like the dad could say everything is negative about the mom,
Mm-hmm.
but the mom is just because he said it, it doesn't mean the mom got to do it to the dad.
Right.
Or if the dad did it, mom's always calling, him whatever you call
Mm-hmm.
it. The father don't have to do you don't have to do this. You have no control of other people, what other people do.
Yeah.
You got control of what you do.
Yeah. And when we engage in this type of activity as adults, it only takes us back to our own childhood,
Yes.
where we call it tit for tat.
Yes, yes.
You
Yes.
hit me, I'm gonna hit you,
Yeah.
or you do this, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, and at some point we have to grow up.
I watched this little segment on Facebook again.
Mm-hmm.
This little girl, I don't know, she was hugging the other little girl,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, "Grown ups, y'all tell us to be nice to our friends."
Right.
But I'm watching y'all, and y'all ain't nice to y'all friends.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, she went down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all tell us to play nice together, but y'all don't play nice together.
Mm-hmm.
I said, look at this little girl.
I think
she
saw
is.
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
she is a. I don't know. She was over 5. She couldn't hardly. I mean, she was that young that she couldn't. But she put those words together that you know exactly what she was saying. It was funny. It was comical the way she was saying it,
right.
But it's so true. We do just the opposite
of what we
teach our kids to do.
Mm-hmm.
Be nice to your friends, but we not nice to our friends sometimes.
Go
be nice to your brother and love them the way that she was hugging.
Right.
Be nice to your brother, your sister. She was a sweet little girl, but she was telling the truth.
She was telling the truth.
And sometimes we don't do that, and until we, as parents, make a decision that we're not going to put the kids in the middle of their fight. Now, one of the stories, James, we talk about all the time is I grew up in Benson. My mom used to send her to the woods to get a switch.
Right.
When she bought that switch in, there was an art to get the switch. You didn't get one too big. You didn't get one too little.
Right.
Because I want my mom to at least have 2 or 3 licks in it. If she got 2 or 3 licks in it, and then you want the switch to break.
Yeah.
Because now, if you break on the first one, you got to go back to the woods.
You calculate it.
You calculate, but you don't want to come back with a young tree either.
Right.
Because you want it to break. That's the whole goal. So you want her to get 2 or 3 good looks in, and the switch breaks. So now you have minimized your pain, and your mom have got some satisfaction that she caused some pain to you. But you want the switch to break. 2 things I can always remember, James. Number 1, the switch always hurt, and the switch always broke. What is the point? When one parent uses the child to beat the other parent, it's going to hurt the other parent,
right?
But it's going to break the child. So now the child becomes the switch that mom and dad use to beat one another, and the child is the one that breaks.
So what ends up happening to the child?
The child is breaking now.
I mean, in their brokenness.
What
are some of the
sometimes
behavior
they're
things?
act out. They go to school. They become bullies, because now they get all this pent up anger inside them because they've been used to beat the other. So now, they're mad at mom because mom is yelling at dad. They're mad at dad because dad is yelling at mom.
Right.
And, and now you're putting these kids in the middle of their fight, and they love both their mom and their dad.
Right. So I just wanted our viewers to understand and know that this is what we're talking about early in the segment.
Yes.
Being able to check in with your children because you don't know all the time what they're going through.
Yes.
You don't know that they've been watching you.
They've been watching you this whole time. And that is, James, this is what we teach the whole 12 weeks. And sometimes during the class, we talk about and I want to call it not the inability to co-parent, but the choosing not to be a good co-parent.
Right.
Because you have the ability to do it. You just need to choose to do it,
regardless
of what the other person is doing. Because they said something negative about you and call your name in front of the kids, you don't have to do that to them.
Absolutely. I want to say hello to Mr. Robert Ashburn.
Mr. Robert Ashburn, all the way from New York, Albany. Hello, sir.
So this is what we're going to do, Glenn. I hope that, sometimes we're going to see more. I'm pretty sure we're going to see other things
comments
that
and stuff,
hit the internet, and we want to talk about them.
Yes.
But, we can't spend all day on it in terms of what we're talking about. But we wanted to let you know that we still want to have our co-ed group.
We're going to have a co-ed group, and we're going to be discussing things like this, and we're going to call it, what could I do better? What could I have done better? And we're going to talk about stories like that.
Yeah. Because we want
people to start to engage in these conversations.
Right.
And it's going to be open to both men and women.
Yes.
I want you to make a co-ed because we want this healthy development, healthy say, these are other, this happened, and you can't help stuff from happening.
Yeah.
Things is going to happen. But how can I handle it that is less effective negatively to my kids?
Yeah. And that's the main thing. We aren't going to be bashing one another. That's not what it's for or about.
No,
it's about having healthy conversations about improving our own experiences.
And we might take this. We might take a story like this and discuss it and say, how could she handle this better?
Mm-hmm.
When I wrote The Love Is Not Enough, and I give this book to people. Mm-hmm. I give this book away more than I sell it.
Yeah.
So if you want to copy this book, call the office and you can get it. Because there's 12 stories in there, just like that story. Mm-hmm. And the things that we could have been done differently if the parents decided they're going to be good co-parents.
Now, you know what? I wonder, and I'm just going to revert back to the story. I mean, to the subject today. I wonder if there's anybody, a counselor, a pastor, some psychologist or something, if they are going to reach out to this couple. Because it's one thing to provide entertainment.
Yes.
Sometimes people just do stuff for entertainment. I got 1 million views.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I think everybody can learn from this.
Yes.
And
this is a teachable moment.
Yep.
That we can all, as parents and co-parents, we can learn from that. Mm-hmm. And because and one of the reasons, James, why I wrote that book, When Love Is Not Enough, is because of the breaking of a child. I want to make sure I put that in there. Mm-hmm. Because all parents say, I ask them all the time, do you love your kids? Mm-hmm. You have to see, they got both their hands up.
Right.
If they can put both their feet up, because there's no question that you don't love your kids. Mm-hmm. That's not the issue.
Right.
But when love is not enough, that means your love for your child is not enough to keep you from putting them in the middle of your fight.
Right.
And that's what's going on. You love your kids. You both do. But that's not enough. You gotta make sure that you don't put them and use them as a switch to beat the other parent.
Right.
And that's what happened. These 4 kids now, all of them got broken.
Yeah.
They will use switch to beat the other parent.
And let's hope they don't stay broken.
Yes.
So that's going to bring us to an end of our segment.
Yeah, wow, we could talk about this.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
But we did reach our goal.
We did reach our goal. Yes.
We actually surpassed it.
Surpassed our goal. Yes.
We have about 320 books.
Yes.
To take over the CLI.
Yep. And in fact, we're going to take some of these books, I think.
Yeah.
We got a meeting this afternoon at a prison in Longburn, North Carolina.
Yeah, I heard it was 2 hours away.
Yeah, we're going to be going to Longburn. We're going to be talking to the chaplain over there at Scotland Convention Center in Longburn, and we're going to be getting some books into those camps.
Right. Yeah. And then we already sent some books over to the Bund Correction Facility in Franklinton.
Yes.
So we still might have to move up our goal.
We didn't move our goal. We need to be way up because we're going to be doing something to CLI, which is they're going to distribute it to the prisons at large.
Right.
But we also want to be get some local prison books in there.
Right.
Yeah, and I wanted to give a shout out to Pastor Sharon Dean at Wake Chapel.
Yeah.
We got a pleasure of meeting her this past week. Mm-hmm. It was a good meeting with her and her staff and some the minister leaders, and we're excited about what we're going to be doing with them, partnership with them. And she's a
lovely minister.
Yes. I listened to her Bible study. Went back and listened to the Bible study last night.
Okay.
On Tuesday night.
Right.
So the dynamic woman of God speaker, I'm grateful that you took your time out today to come and meet with us and to partnership with Father Forever.
Yes.
We're gonna get something done in this community.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, with that, Glenn, we're gonna still encourage our viewers to share our page or share and if you're on YouTube, subscribe and
Please,
get the
yes,
notification.
Yes.
But if you're on Facebook, just share and like our page and stay in touch.
Yep.
So with that, I guess you'll take us home.
Yep. So again, everybody, please be safe. Have a happy 4th of July weekend.
Yes.
Coming up. Please be safe. If you're going to the beach and if you're having fun, have fun, but just be safe and rest, relax, and enjoy the festivities and our Independence Day celebration. And we just wish everybody a happy holiday, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Glenn Warren, founder and executive director of Fathers Forever. I want to share an alarming reality with you. 627,000 fathers are incarcerated that have kids under 18. Now, there are 56,000 moms incarcerated who have kids under 18. The reality is there are so many more fathers incarcerated than moms. This is why I Am a Father Forever book exists. Now, I need your help. I am inviting you to help us get this book into as many fathers incarcerated as possible. Here's how it works. For your donation of $22, we will provide a book to an incarcerated father. Thank you in advance for helping Fathers Forever heal fathers and save families.